How you folks? Long time no talk to. But I just thought since we were all, incarcerated here in our homes during the pandemic, that I'd make you guys a video because I haven't made you one in so long. So this video is going to be entitled AI and the Singularity. So now when you talk to certain people or listen to certain scientists, the smarter ones, they say there is no such thing as a singularity. And from the perspective that they're talking about, they're correct. There is no singularity. However, from a different perspective, there is singularity. All right. So basically, you got two components that have basically taken over the world completely, and simply, have it under control. Have made it into a situation of slavery beyond what you can really probably deduce. But the AI, artificial intelligence, everybody knows what that is, I'm sure, right? But just basically, artificial intelligence is a system, computer system, that just basically replicates human intelligence, emotion, consciousness, awareness, self-awareness, stuff like that. And there was a interview that the foremost in the open representative of artificial intelligence is basically Elon Musk. Although of course there's many more people behind that would also, you'd be able to say, are deeply embedded, involved, and responsible for the implementation of AI, artificial intelligence, on us as a general world. Now, Elon Musk, in this interview with Joe Rogan, during this interview, he said that the artificial intelligence computers have been known to make up and create their own language and then start talking to each other in that language. Now I'm going to let that sink in right there. The computers created their own language and then start talking in that language to each other. Okay, that's the first revelation. Really doesn't need to be no more revelations if you can think. At that point, it's over. Everything's controlled by computer. Everything that we do pretty much is controlled by computers. And so if the computers can make up their own language and then start communicating to each other in that language, who has the upper hand? So now, why is AI the chosen method? AI is the chosen method of technology and fear are the basic chosen methods of controlling the world um, beyond a certain point. You know, we can draw a line of demarcation. We could say it's 2012, whatever. That's okay. That's relatively okay to say. Let's just go with that. So we're in 2020 now. See, so now what I'm about to say is, you know, everybody ain't gonna want to hear it, but it's gonna be the truth, and it's not really intended as an insult. It's not intended as anything negative to anybody as a group. It's just the case, and it has nothing to do with you know, wanting to reduce somebody or another race or whatever. It's just the case. Now, the world was chosen to be controlled through the white race. Now, the question is was it white people that chose white people to be the quote-unquote master race? Was it white people that chose white people to be used as the control pivot? Not necessarily. Because all of the elites are not white. But white supremacy is the operating system. Now, why were white people chosen? They're chosen because they have several distinct talents, very pronounced talents as a group. They think in a hive way, like, let's say it's not an insult. They think in a hive manner like termites do. They are highly analytical. They put everything into a category. They have to give things a definition and put things into a category. So they are highly analytical. They give everything a definition, and they put everything in a category. And they are highly organized thought pattern. Right? So those being the cases, it's the reason why they were chosen to be the master race, or whatever you want to call it, the chosen race, the, you know, whatever it was, the Nazis called them, or whatever, you know. To bring about what's called, you know, there's no doubt about the case, the New World Order. And the New World Order is simply AI and the Singularity. So artificial intelligence can pretty much dictate and change a person's perceptions, thoughts, and decisions that they'll make based on data input. And since the white race is, like I mentioned before, they're more similar to what a computer is like. And since that's the case, that's the reason why they were chosen, because they're more susceptible to repetitious data input. And if you don't provide them with anything else except the flood of what you want them to absorb as far as the most important points are, then those are the people, those are the ones, that's the group that has been observed since time immemorial that will respond the way that they do to repetitious data input. You can change overnight their perception. You can change overnight the decisions that they'll make. You can say something one day today and something tomorrow. And you only have to have a little bit of a specter, um, something to kick in to make them afraid. And they'll go with whatever it is that the data input is. So, now, there's also one more component to the white mind or psyche that's very important. It might be the most important. And it's that white people as a group in general are highly psychic. And there's a big difference between psychic energy and spiritual energy. So, for instance, psychic energy is just like the ability to read minds or the ability to anticipate, what another person or group or whatever will do based upon the impressions that you can pick up on an energetic level. And this is where the AI and the singularity come into play. So the singularity is the connecting of the white mind through repetitious data input by the AI. That's the singularity. So it doesn't have to be everybody, you see. It's only got to be this one group. And so that's the way it is. So now, white people being more psychic as a group, psychic energy, like I said, is not spiritual energy. So what people call God or whatever, that's not God. Okay, that's like more like what people would term the devil, more like what people would term demonic. Psychic energy is more demonic. So the white people are hooked up to the demonic energy, more so than any other group. Now, the ancient Indians, the Americas and other places around the world, they would call the white people blue-eyed devils. But see, we're programmed to see, the blue eyes is beautiful and beauty is, white people is beautiful and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that they are or that they aren't, but I'm saying that we're programmed for it. So, that being the case, we don't necessarily see the demonic when we look at them. And I'm not saying that we should or that we shouldn't, but I'm just saying we don't see it. So, that's the perfect cover. Perfect cover. Because you can't see it. I mean, you don't even know. And is it that they are demonic themselves? Not necessarily. But can they be used for the demonic? Easier. Absolutely. Why? Because throughout all the time in history, white people have been programmed through repetitious data input that they're superior. They have no other internal inventory. There's nothing else there. So that's the reason why you see, like, when you see like mass murderers and stuff like that, 99% of the time are white males. It's because they feel like their superiority is being eroded. But that's all part of the AI program. It's like electronic circuits. You put resistance here. You put more current flow here, more energy flow, more voltage here, less voltage there, more current flow here, stop the current flow there, put a capacitor here. You hold a circuit here, you open up a gate in a circuit here, blah blah blah. So it's just like a big computer program. And so certain amounts of them are being lessened temporarily on purpose so that it gets under their skin. Like that movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Or we just had another huge serial killing, or not serial, but mass murder here. Like today's the 21st. We just had yesterday or the day before, like 18 people, or maybe more than that, being killed by a mass murder. And generally, they're attacking what they have been taught through repetition is the problem. And what they're taught through repetition is the problem is always typically the government. It's the government. It's the government. The government. The government's doing it. When it's not the government, it is the corporations behind the scenes that control the government. So the corporations use the government as a shield so that you don't look at them. But it's always capital. Always. Capital is the culprit. So, psychic energy is just a frequency, okay? Whereas spiritual energy has no frequency. You can't change to the frequency of spiritual energy. You can change to the frequency of psychic energy. And you can easily make someone think that psychic energy is spiritual energy. But it's not. It's just not. So now you can use spiritual energy. You can observe spiritual energy. You can talk about spiritual energy, but you can't really define it. And you can't really change to the frequency of it. It simply is. It simply is. And that's the one thing that the white race doesn't get. I mean, is every white person like that? No. But that's the one thing about the setup of white supremacy, is that you do have those white people who are not like that. And generally what happens is that those white people are used by the ones that are like that. Just how it is. You have the ones that are connected to the spirit. They just are. You don't have to change to it. They just simply are. See? So, I know it sounds like a contradiction in a way, but it isn't. So this artificial intelligence basically taps into the psychic frequency. It can do it in a couple ways, but it's not that difficult, because the ways that it does it, it can connect through the computer screen, through the TV screen, through the because it's already built into it. It's already embedded in there. Okay. But the very best way it just does it by frequencies in the air, or just coming through basically just coming through the electrical system in your home, or through the water coming out of your sink, through the like, for instance, it's gonna sound crazy, but like, for instance, if you turn on your sink and if you were to take your mind to a certain place, you can actually hear words coming out of the sink. When you turn on the shower, you can listen, and you can hear words coming out of it. If you flush your toilet, you can listen and literally hear words coming out of the water as it goes down the toilet, and then when it's filling back up, you can hear the words. So now this is a frequency that operates right outside the spectrum of hearing, but you know, it's ironic that when Carl Sagan, you know, wrote his last book, which was called The Dragons of Eden: Speculation on the Origins of Human Intelligence, he said that the human mind can take in through the optic nerve about 5 million bits of information per second. But that optic nerve can take into the RNA, into our DNA system, 5 billion bits of information per second that we can't perceive it all at once. But we can actually still absorb it. So it's the same with what I'm talking about. So this is how white people are controlled. And so they don't know it. They think they have an epiphany. They think they have a revelation. They think they've come to some great grand conclusion, when it was just all changing their perceptions by repetitious data input and velocity or speed. The speed of it. You can speed it up, speed it down. It operates on cycles, hertz, kilohertz, megahertz, blah 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 blah. So you have all these frequencies flying around the air, and the AI can just simply send data packets, can send information of data through all of these venues. Anything, your phone, your remote control, the can of pop, the can of soda that you're drinking. It all has a constituency, so therefore it operates at a certain frequency. That frequency can be tapped into, and it is. You know, like for instance, give you one example. Like white people, what they love that fucking Monster drink, right? That one drink with the 3 claws on it. I mean, who the fuck would drink some shit like that? Ever. But that shit is popular as fuck. The fuck you want to drink some shit like that for? But they drink the shit out of that shit. And then Red Bull, you know, I mean, everybody drinks that shit now. I don't drink that shit, but everybody drinks that shit now. But when it first came out, who drank that shit? Red Bull. I mean, just think about it. Red Horn. I mean, you know, we can go on and on with that shit. But see, everything has what's called a psychic continuity. Like a reason why a black person is not a white person, because they have a certain psychic continuity. The reason why a Chinese person is not a black person, because they have a certain psychic continuity. The reason why Indian's not a fucking whatever, because they have a certain psychic continuity, a psychic constituency. And so the best psychic constituency for control and fear and violence, or to manifest and perpetrate evil, that's the white race. That's why they were chosen. So now, like I said before, are they evil? Every one of them ain't evil. Will they always bring evil? Not necessarily. But the situation that we're in at this point right now is that the AI, the artificial intelligence system, if it can create its own language and talk to itself in its own language, then it's already taken over. It's already completely taken over. And the simulation that we're living in right now with this virus thing and all that, it's just part of the simulation that it's taken us through. More than likely, most of the world leaders at this point, most of the bigger stars at this point, most of the people that you look up to at this point, blah blah blah, are just clones. They're not even real. I mean, they're just quote unquote talking heads. Like even if you look at some of the ones that you would say and consider to be really good people, like let's just take like Oprah for instance or something like that. When you look at what all the other rich white people are saying on the internet, and you listen to her, she's saying the exact same thing that they're saying at the exact same time. So when they have little trends that they come out saying, like say for instance this week it might be, get past your fear. Why do they all say it at the exact same time? Why do they all say it that week? Why doesn't one person say, get past your fear, other person say, do yoga, other person say, yeah, do Tai Chi. Nope. Instead, they all say it at the same time, get past your fear. Because they're all getting the exact same data input from the AI at the exact same time. See? So now, in the past, you remember some of the stuff that Oprah used to research. She just wasn't that flippant. She wasn't that stupid. Now, she just basically says what all the other rich people say, which is basically, like I remember she said, here's was the best one. Let you know, she's probably just a fucking clone. She said, I saw it on her Facebook. She said that I truly believe that you become what you think in the deepest parts of yourself, or whatever, right? Let's just think about that bullshit. What she's saying is that 1 million or 500,000 Iraqi children, in the deepest parts of their being, believe that George Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld would invade their country and kill them. See how dumb that shit is? But if you go to like all these Oprah types and the self-help gurus and blah 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 blah, they almost all say the same shit at the exact same time. You see, all of them ain't clones, but the more powerful ones, the ones with the bigger brands, the huge brands like that, probably are. Like Donald Trump, I'd say, in my opinion, I would say 95% that's a clone. I would say probably most people in his cabinet are probably, I would say 90%, 95% of people in his cabinet are probably clones. Of the Senate right now, I would say, 90% of them are clones. If not all of them. It's just a situation that we've gotten to now. Now is there a solution to all this shit? Once again, the AI is the artificial intelligence system that connects into the psychic energy to create the singularity, which is the hive mind connection of the white race. That's what it is. The AI and the singularity. So the smarter scientists have just simply overlooked the race factor. They don't look at it like that, which that's okay. No problem with that. But they simply just don't look at it. They're not trained to look at things like that. They're not trained to look at it from that perspective. They're trained to look at us as a human race together, and that we can all get together and get along and blah blah blah. And that's okay. But basically, what I'm telling you is scary. Just even if you look at, like, for instance, they say that there's no power without women. And they say that the universe is female. And so, that being the case, there's no power without women. So if that's the case, who do you have to control? Well, Alfred Bernays, who's Sigmund Freud's nephew, the father of modern public relations and advertising, said that he doesn't have to control society. I don't have to control the men. I only have to control the women. And then remember Tupac said that shit. He said, when I rap, I don't rap for the niggas, I rap for the bitches, because the niggas gonna do what the bitches don't want. See? So, through the AI system, the artificial intelligence system, all women, not all, but let's say 80%, 85% of women, no matter what color they are, were turned white by the AI system. And how do you know that? I mean, it's pretty obvious how you know that. You can tell by their attitude, but two, you can just tell by the fact that, majority of them that weren't white, and even the white ones, well, the majority of them that weren't white went to buying hair that make them look white. And they still do it. I mean, when I look at women with hair extension, hair weave, I've never been turned on by a girl with a hair weave. Ever. Never. I mean, I've never looked at a girl with a hair weave and wanted to fuck her. Not one. I mean, I just haven't. But that's basically it. I mean, they were all turned white. So you got the white people, and then you got all the women are white. So then you got the white people and all the women are white. So you got women are so important because they do what's called, they ground thought patterns into the etheric energy of the planet. Some of the indigenous cultures say that the most primal aspect of creation is, or the most primal aspect of our existence in our universe is what's called the spider grandmother. The spider grandmother weaves the universe. So that's a metaphor for women. They literally weave the universe. It's like Carl Jung said that when if you hear a woman say the most incredibly crazy, insane shit, there's still some component to what she said is true. And that's the reason why. Because women, they ground the thought pattern. So if they say it, they're grounding a thought pattern, which means that some component of what they say has to be true, no matter how crazy the fucking shit is. That same thing. I remember Bobby Hemmett said that about his girlfriend. He said women exist in their own universe. So, that's a pretty interesting thing to dissect there too. So you heard that saying. People say, "Man, she possessed." You know what I mean? Man, goddamn. In other words, overcome by powers that they don't understand. Like, why the fuck does she do that shit? You know what I mean? That wild, weird ass shit. You know what I mean? So, is there a solution to this shit at this point? No. Ain't no solution to it. The only solution is that there's nothing AI can do about this. There's nothing the Singularity can do about this. There's nothing the demon world can do about this. We as a human race, as people, as human beings, we reincarnate. We incarnate over and over and over onto this planet for the sole purpose of for the purpose of soul development. What is soul development? Soul development is the elimination of a negative karma. So you've got karma, which is the experience of all the negative things you've done in other lifetimes, and the stuff will keep coming to you in the lifetimes that you're living as karma. Or you can understand what causes karma. You can live in such a way that You don't develop any new karma, and you can also live in such a way that you alleviate the karma that you have. Now that's what's called enlightenment. So enlightenment simply means that you don't have a lot of attachments to the material aspects of this world. In other words, like for instance, you know how like say like somebody will kill another person for like, you know, a few $1 million or something like that or whatever. That's karma. See, that's karma. That's karma creation. Like whereas if you're not attached to things in that way, you would never do that. You would be like, it wouldn't matter if nobody was looking and you could get away with it and that person was crippled and nobody would ever find out. You could just put them in a river and let them float down the river and nobody will ever find out, and you can just walk away with a few $1 million. Somebody who is enlightened wouldn't do it. Just simply would not do that. Because no matter what, that karma is there. And you will eventually meet that karma. So when you live in a certain way that eliminates karma, then you become lighter. You're not so heavy. You're not so bound and grounded to the things of this world. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, you know, living in the world, enjoying yourself and having nice houses and cars and like to get high and drink or whatever, anything in perspective. But when it gets to the point to where it's worth imposing your will on somebody else to get what you want, irrespective of what would be positive for them, then you got karma. Like, you know, like for instance, you see like in Southeast Asia, you saw like back in the day when you know, they were running around, and in Indonesia they were running around killing all the communists, you know. And the communists were the people that read books and liked to go to plays and like classical music and, you know, intellectuals and stuff like that. And the dumb motherfuckers killed them all. Only because they said they were communists. See? So, this is just one example. But, so you can live a life in such a way that when you pass on, when you die, quote unquote die, which you don't really die, but when you die, that you don't have to reincarnate here on the planet. That the Christians call it going to heaven. Well, I guess the Buddhists and the Hindus call it nirvana or whatever. You know, in other words, you transcend this existence. You transcend the plane that we live on. You transcend when you die. You transcend. You go beyond this, and you don't have to come back here because you're light enough to not be grounded by the things that attract you back here, because you still have to deal with them, because it's going to be part of your it's going to be part of your present because of the things that happened that you did in the past that you think you got away with. Nobody gets away with anything. You can't. It's impossible. So so that the solution is, like, you know, you would have to live a life with a consistent thought, word, and deed on purpose. Because, you know, basically on a societal level, you know, things are going to get better for certain demographics of white people. You know, Donald Trump has seen that, made sure of that. The people behind him made sure of that. And it's going to get worse for certain demographics of non-whites, especially here in America. But basically, you know, throughout the world, because that's the New World Order. The New World Order is back to the old days of white male rule. I mean, even the United States was founded on white male rule. That was it. I mean, you get all that. We see these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. All that, you know. I mean, I guess that's what. That shit. You know, that's legitimate shit, but it's bullshit. Because really and truly, America was founded on white male rule. Because the only people allowed to vote were white males. Only people allowed in the Senate were white males. And so what? So and not even metaphorically, it's they want to go back to making sure that there is no other rule except on the planet except white male rule. So you know, the United States has the biggest military budget, and also has the biggest black ops or secret government and secret budget. I mean, the United States has a government beyond the government that even the people in the government don't have access to. You see, so if you want to not live in a world of hell coming up, then what you should do is live a life, consistent thought, word, and deed. Stop following so many traditions that you're used to. That's really just part of your program. And do something creative and unusual that is rooted in the abstract, rooted in the spirit, rooted in positivity and love. That's the only way to do it. You know, you keep following the same traditions that you've been following. You'll just keep recycling until you're able to get out of it. It's like Noam Chomsky said. He said it's incredibly difficult to see the web of lies that you're ensnared in, that you're taught from birth. And then once you do see it, it's even more incredibly difficult to extract yourself from it. That's really true, because when you live in a world, I remember I saw Tupac say that before. He said, if you live around a bunch of devils, it's very hard to be an angel. And it's like, you know, it's like if you go to penitentiary, it's very difficult to focus on your spiritual growth. You know what I mean? And it's about where we're at. It'll just get more prison-like and more prison-like and more prison-like. I mean, right now you're experiencing a coronavirus, and everybody's distracted a little bit because, you know, it's cool to be off work. You know, you can't get your electric cut off. They can't evict you for missing your house payments. You can't, you know, you're gonna get a little, you know, get a little bit of money. You know, you can, you know, have enough money to, you know, get some, you know, get some food, maybe get something to drink, you know, get some weed or something, like whatever you do, you know, for a while or whatever. And they'll keep feeding that a little bit, you know, or whatever. But even after this shit is supposedly over, it'll never be the same. It'll never ever be the same. So they'll make you think it is the same, or even better, because they'll tell you that it is. They'll tell you how great it is. You see, but it'll never really be the same. So the way to deal with it is to graduate to Earth, to graduate the Earth plane, and the way to do that is to live a life consistent thought, word, and deed, positive. To just do your best. You know, do your best. Don't take people's shit personally. You know, be impeccable at what you say. Do what you say what you mean what you say. You know, and do what you say.